Welcome to another Silverbird Selection game review, and this time I thought I'm going to guarantee a good game for a change. The last couple of games I've played have been pretty bad, so I thought I'd go for a game that I've definitely played before, know it's a decent game, will enjoy playing it, and I'll just give you a nice review of it. So I'm going to go for H.E.R.O, which is an acronym for something beginning with helicopter, and I can't remember the rest of the words at the moment, but we'll get to that in a moment. So this is a re-release of an Activision game, originally released in 1984 on the Commodore 64, although it is a port of an Atari 2600 game. This is in the Silver Range packaging, obviously, as you've seen, probably released about 1986, I think, by Firebird. Pretty uncommon game. There are a few copies on eBay, but it does go for quite a bit of money. I've seen copies sell recently for between £5 to £10, which seems a bit silly to me. I paid £1.50 for it many years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago, because it is a game I do like. Interesting fact about this game is that it was actually one of the first Commodore 64 games I ever played. Back in about probably 84, 85, I went to stay at my friend's house, and he had a Commodore 64 and I didn't. So we played on the Commodore 64, and I remember playing H.E.R.O, Impossible Mission, and I think Winter Games were the first 3 Commodore 64 games I ever played. So that's a nice little memory that's brought up from the memory banks from about 30 odd years ago, or 35 even. So let's get on with the review. As always, we'll take a look at the packaging first and then we'll play the game. Here's your front cover of the game then, and it's quite, in fact it's very colourful. Let's not understate this, it's a very colourful front cover. Nice purple background, you've got your H.E.R.O there with his helicopter backpack and also some dynamite in his backpack, which is used within the game as well. So good representation of the character in the game. And we've got the logo, which again, super colourful, metallic looking with the rivets around the edges of the letters as well. Lots of colour on that. Spine again has got that logo on it and very colourful. And then when we go round to the back, you can see sort of representation of the mine there with the rocks. Got a couple of screenshots which are Commodore 64 ones, I'm pretty sure of that. And also the description of the game: hover through the bother, save the miners and be a hero. So short and to the point and not very descriptive of exactly what's going on in the game, but that's pretty much standard for these packages from what we've seen so far. So moving inside the inlay, and we've got a very familiar sight of a list of Commodore 64 games that are available from the 199 Silver Range. I think we've already seen that before on one of the other packages from one of the other games. The mail order stuff, which again is pretty standard for this. So let's get to the instructions. As you can see, H.E.R.O is 1984, copyright John Van Ryzen, who did the original game, and the game description is: you must guide Roderick H.E.R.O, a member of the Helicopter Emergency Rescue Operations. So that's what H.E.R.O stands for. How strange that he would join an organisation whose acronym is H.E.R.O and his surname is H.E.R.O. What were the odds of that? Anyway, you must guide him through the labyrinth of chambers and shafts to find a miner trapped by a freak explosion and buried deep under the ground and behind walls of rubble. You'll need all the dexterity, skill and courage you could have to guide your copter backpack through the torturous chambers ahead. Oh, I really can't say that. I think torturous is spelt wrong as well. Anyway, then you've got your loading instructions. So moving on to how to play the game. Use your joystick to manoeuvre Roderick H.E.R.O around a labyrinth in the normal way. Fire button fires a stream of bullets from the specially designed copter backpack. Then you've got to pass through brick walls by using the gun or dynamite. Knowing the game, I don't think those instructions are quite right actually, but let's not get onto that. And you've got to avoid bats, monsters and perils that will try to prevent you reaching the trapped miner. So yeah, I'm not sure those instructions are actually correct, but let's give it a go and find out, shall we? So the game's loaded and there's no title screen, as is typical with these early Activision games. They didn't mess around, they just go straight into the gameplay screen. As you can see, there's a demo of the game running here showing you how to play it, which is quite useful because you might not really understand what you're supposed to be doing, so that's quite good. And apart from that, you've got the credits going across the bottom of the screen. It says press F1 to start. There you go, there's the name of the game, the copyright and the Activision logo, which again is quite standard on these early Activision games, and the designer John Van Ryzen, as previously mentioned. So that's that, let's get on with playing the game, I guess. So here we go, I think. Yeah, here we go. So Cave 1, nice and simple. as it said in the instructions, you can spend ages blasting through these walls with your lasers, which I never knew you could actually do until I read the instructions. Takes a while. So the idea is to make your way to the bottom of a cavern, find the miner and rescue him. All your remaining power gets turned into points, as do your remaining dynamite things, and then you go on to the next level where it's much the same but usually a little bit more complicated. Well, in fact always a little bit more complicated. So the other way to get rid of these walls is to use some dynamite. Now in the instructions it said push against the wall and press fire, which doesn't work. That just makes you fire the lasers from the backpack, or what it actually looks like they're coming out your eyes in fact. So actually the way you place the dynamite, certainly in this version of the game, it might be different in other conversions and maybe that's why the instructions are slightly wrong. But in this version of the game you push down and then you run away, because if you don't run away you'll get blown up. So that was the first bit of that, and then it's much more of the same. It's much easier to just place the dynamite, although I suspect you might need to use the lasers on the wall in later levels, perhaps is the reason it said that. So I haven't really used the helicopter yet, but obviously you can hear the helicopter. When you push up you can actually use the helicopter to hover, blast things that you can't reach any other way, blast this bat, rescue the miner. It's sometimes quite hard to see the miners because the background's very detailed. So that brings me on to the graphics. They're very repetitive and they're not amazing graphics, but what they have done is a very nice sort of rock effect. It's obviously just a repeating tile, but they've done this kind of sort of dappled effect, I suppose you'd say, that make it look like rock, which I think is quite good. And you've got all the stalactites and stalagmites in the background as well. The rocks on the blocking walls are quite good as well. The main sprite is a bit basic. He's only like a few colours and he's a bit blocky. He's only got a few frames of animation. Oh yeah, so when you get to level 3 and onwards you can knock the lights off in different caverns, which makes it more tricky to negotiate them. Ooh. Although in that case I just got past it. So yeah, at various points you'll drop through these little holes, these little pits, and hit one of the light bulbs. I went the right way that time, although I have got to go back that way, because if I drop down that hole I'm going to hit that spider and it'll kill me. So if I drop down the hole on the right there, I would have switched the lights off, which would have made that screen more difficult. So it does give you a nice sort of steady introduction to the various gameplay mechanics. The first few levels are pretty much just like a tutorial, and then it does start to get more difficult as you go on. So sound wise it's pretty basic, there's no music, it's just the noise of the helicopter, the noise of your lasers, the noise of explosions going off, and there is a noise when you hit a baddie and die, which we'll no doubt encounter at some point. And that's pretty much it for the sounds. Also the sounds when, oh there we go, out go the lights. There's also the sounds when you rescue the miner as well and your power gets turned into points. Try and get past this guy, there we go. So here you've got to use the helicopter to hover over the top of the spider and then turn around and go past it, whereas if I'd gone the other way I would have had to use a dynamite to get through the wall. So you have got various ways of dealing with a level as well, depending on what you think the best approach is, or more often just by pure luck. So as you can see, every progressive cavern gets a little bit more deep as well, it seems. These guys are annoying, these snakes that pop out of the wall. These are my sort of nemesis a bit. I just can't quite get the drop in right. No, he's got me. I probably overdid that. I probably should have just dropped down, it would have been easier. But there we go, I've lost a life. You heard the noise. Not very spectacular death noise, but there you go. As you can see, the colour scheme changes for the rocks and stuff on each level. Now this is where things start to get a bit more hectic, not really hectic, a bit more dangerous. These walls here, I'm not going to walk into them, but the red walls are lava, and if you touch them you die. So again, it's getting progressively more difficult as we go along. Not really massively difficult yet, but it will get harder. Out go the lights there. It's not really a major problem. Obviously when you set off a dynamite, you do get a quick flash of what the level looks like. So here you've got to drop the dynamite. Oh, I've walked into the wall. That's exactly what... You've got to be close to drop the dynamite, but not too close to hit the wall. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I've lost a life unnecessarily there, which is a bit annoying. Oh, I've walked into it again, I forgot. Oh man. That's a bit of a disaster. Finally got to the bottom with no lives left. But handily, you do get an extra life at 20,000, so as long as I don't mess this one up. There we go, I've got an extra life. And on we go again. It's fairly repetitive gameplay, but it is good, I enjoy it. It's a well put together game. The gameplay mechanics are good. Graphics are good enough for the era, you know, we were talking 1984 when this game came out. And the various hazards are introduced slowly, so you're not overwhelmed. And it offers just a good, you know, classic sort of arcade style high score challenge. Ooh, that was close. Nearly lost my last life there. So every time you play, you'll get a little bit further, work out some of the intricacies of the game, and hopefully survive. So that's a bit sneaky because that spider's just lurking behind a yellow stalactite there, but I spotted him. So there we go. On to level 7. Not sure what happens if you drop down here. Oh, out go the lights. Oh, and out go the lights again. What happens if we go this way? Oh, you drop straight onto the lava that way. That's naughty. Okay. Could be a little bit careful dropping down here. Oh, it wasn't that difficult really. I'm going to guess if I drop down this side it's going to be blocked. Yeah, that's not going to work, so we're going to go the other way. I'm sort of running out of dynamite now, so I hope there's not much of this level left. Ooh, that's tricky. So you have to manoeuvre the helicopter a little bit more as you move on with these levels as well. Nearly there. Oh, see, if I'd wasted that on that lava there, I suppose it's 6 one half dozen the other. I could have got through the lava on the screen above. Oh, that's silly. And then drop down the other side, but if I go this way, just get rid of that there. Oh, this level really goes on a long time. Alright, okay, so now we're at the bottom. I don't know if you can notice, but there's no floor on this bit. There's actually just like a wobbling pool of lava or something nasty that we definitely don't want to go and touch because it will kill us. Luckily I spotted that before I dropped into it, and I'm on to the next level. So yeah, not much more to say about the game. It's a fun game. I'll obviously give the scores when I finally lose my last couple of lives. But overall, yeah, so again we've got the puddle there at the bottom. Obviously the more helicopter power you use, the faster your power gauge goes down. So this bit's a bit tricky here. You've got to get under this sort of low hanging precipice without dropping in the lake like I did. Oh wow, okay. That would have been a bit unfair. Right, so I'm going to use the lasers to blast through this one, because I'm running out of dynamite and I don't know how much time's left. It's really quite boring doing it that way though. There we go. Oh, okay. So I've got to get across here. Drop onto this little ledge. Blast through this one. You definitely wouldn't want to try that with a dynamite. Whoa. Boring. Right at the end? Yes. This is as far as I ever got in the game. I think I might have got further when I was a kid playing it, but certainly in recent memory this is as far as I've got. So I'm probably going to hit something I've not seen before and end up dying quite soon, I suspect. But it's been a good ride. I've rescued a lot of miners. Oh, forget him. Oh, wow. Okay. That was quite stressful. What's going on here then? Oh yeah, it looks like it's over to the right here. Let's just skip him. Yeah, that is quite useful. Can't believe I never knew about that. It probably shows I never read the instructions in the past. Oh, it does take a while though. Must be near the end here. Oh wow, it's still going on. This could be the end of me. I didn't do very well with this last time. Okay, that went better than last time. Oh, I'll do the same again now. No, there we go, I'm dead. Well, as I say, it was a good ride. I did quite well there, 34,000. So, obviously I'm not going to play through it again. You've seen everything you're going to see. I probably wouldn't get that far again anyway. But next time I play it, I know where I can go to with trying to get a bit further each time. And that's really what it's about. It's just a high score challenge and get as far as you can. So in terms of the review, obviously I've already said it's a pretty good game. Packaging, I'm going to go with 7 out of 10. I thought the packaging was pretty nice. The instructions weren't quite right, but otherwise it was quite nicely presented. I don't think the artwork's anywhere near as good as the original Activision artwork, but you know, it is just a $1.99 budget game after all. Presentation, pretty basic. You do get the rolling demo that you see on the screen now. And the high scores aren't saved, which is a bit of a shame. So if I was to play another round now, it would just go back to 0 and it doesn't save your high score anywhere. So yeah, pretty basic. So 5 out of 10 for the presentation. Graphics I think are nice. Like I said, I like the rock work. They're not spectacular graphics, they're pretty basic. But I do like, for the time, I think they're pretty decent. So I think I'm going to go 6 out of 10 for the graphics. Sound, very basic. Just the noise of the helicopter and the lasers and the dynamite explosions going off, all of which sound really good and quite convincing, but that's all you get. So it's going to have to be 4 out of 10 for the sound, which just leaves playability. I think it's an excellent game. It's very playable. Definitely got the addictive sort of have another go quality to it. Lots of nice little mechanics for scoring, different ways to make your way down through the caverns. So it's all good with the playability. I'm going to go 8 out of 10, which gives it an overall total of 6.9, which I think is pretty well deserved. It's a good game, slightly repetitive, not the best graphics and sound by later standards. So yeah, I think 6.9 is pretty much about right. So that was H.E.R.O. If you like the game, let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I'll be back pretty soon with another game review.